am being guided to study more. Muslim. You Muslim Khalid? Yes, I am. But I'm a Moor.
Cause it's the way, yeah.
Islam. I'm a Moor.
At last, we do the dash. I marathon in my time, stay on the line. I'm never stalling like Malcolm, I still a facts. You still applaud and they hate, assassinate, and y'all award them. By the mass, I choose sets, word to Boston. In the lab with crew necks, herbs and tonics. In the class with scientists, doing the math, writing hieroglyphs. I'm the man with the iron fist, got a past full of darkness. Catching that ghost like a house when it's haunted. Doing the most with the status of a lease home. I spend my whole life running for police cars. I spent my lifetime running for my evils. Ain't know myself, thought I was a different people. My people say they couldn't find the answers. Never heard of Moors, but know all about the Panthers. We catching cancers. Last dragon, knew I was a master. Started from a servant. Chapter 28.
We all we got.
We all we got. We all we got. We all we got. Oh, love, truth. Peace, freedom, justice, so upon the law, put my fears in the dungeon.
We got.
We all we got. We all we got.
Love
for my mothers, brothers, enemies and others. Love for those with no shelter eating from the gutters. Truth a vibration so strong it heals. Truth is the second principle of our divine creed. Truth is art, for it many died and some fought. Truth doesn't apologize and need a mascot. Truth must be known and not just only love genius. Truth is not for all men, only those who seek it. Peace be still, be integrity, behold upright. Peace is a mind state, no need to be uptight. Peace in the greeting or passage when I leave. Peace will not rest but rise when you grieve. Freedom of speech taken away like sheep led to slaughter. Freedom for souls trapped, out of control kidnapped daughters. Justice or death, after that what's left? Justice for the husk, become one with the holy breath.
I was the last dragon, knew I was a master. Started from a servant, chapter 28.
We all we got.
We all we got. We all we got. We all we got. Oh, love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, so upon the law, put my fears in the dungeon.
We got.
We all we got. We all we got. Staying on guard, the 5-pointed star, renegade with the J scimitar. It got the thinnest blade, we blaze in the halls until the feeling fades. The game's in my heart, ain't nothing minute made. Reversing this mystery, y'all, cursing this history, niggas that turns burned in my mind and crime hinders me. Say hi, Timothy, this is divine ministry, focused upon getting the mind about a misery.
Justice denied, ignorance prevails. Justice the balance, but I see just us in the jails. Justice can only reign with a free national name. Justice gives no pleasure or has no shame. So love speak truth, so peace can exist. For freedom to democracies not to exist. Fill out the census wrong, end up on the stock list. Tight with the fam like locks twist, the Moorish are called.
I was the last dragon, knew I was a master. Started from a servant, chapter 28.
We all we got.
We all we got. We all we got. Oh, love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, so upon the law, put my fears in the dungeon. We all we got.
And they gon' never argue with you that I'm
We all we got.
Common sense was made before book sense. Canaanland Moors presents Common Sense with
Legendary, bury me in the North Gates Cemetery, February the 4th days. Son of Mary, day ahead of my born day. Independence and law makes it a little of a lost case. With case laws, we break them down like Jericho. Keeping all my lions tamed, I'm Chris Jericho. Or keep a mask on deck, I'm Rey Mysterio. Fake pandemics announced over the radio. Annoyed with the game, the joys and the pains. I'm Rob Bass, mix it with rock the hard way. I was in a lost state. Prophets stood me up right, brought me to a lost gate. Cooking like I'm sorbet, prepping like I'm Denzel. Malcolm X, deja vu, Roman J. Israel. Had no clue I lay in plain sight, but people still can't see it. So the snake's still showing up, the stakes still high, so the race still go going up. Warriors of the North Gate, we not slowing up. Born in the manger, sworn to be savior. Walk through the valley of the shadows of the death dip in slavery. Looking for light, the book of Genesis. Astroplane interests, invoke the nemesis. Abstract images of past lives kicking in. Danger, running for your life. Finishing.
Morris Omar, key man or oracle. Using Trinity powers, decipher allegorical. Lost and metaphorical, holy books are metaphysic. Facts slap a dirty more or a Drew Ali critic. Calling him Thomas or Walter and get your face caved. Or cut like a close shave. Drowned in my brainwaves, squashed by heat waves. Activating Kundalini. Abyssinia invaded by Mussolini. Selassie I in exile. Reptile in Genesis, niggas appearing real. All I see is false evidence. VAR feminists, torn by elephants. Won't let go prejudice, but want Moorish benefits. When you feel the cold magnetic resonance. Apis horns of the sacred book called Maleficent. Great cosmic mothers, return to blessedness, no pestilence. Ace all the testaments. Tap into remembrance, never to forget again. Use energy right, not put spell effects on men. Wandering the earth plane with no veil of shades. Keeps you a mental slave as the horizon fades. It's been decades since Christian crusades. Not enough rebellions, too many vigil bouquets. Holding on to the fence, burning on doomsday. War ruled by Mars, it might be on a Tuesday.
Canaanland Moors presents Common Sense Quick. What we do here is we add some common sense thinking to everyday situations or comments that may arise. Want to give it a try?
Peace, Moors. Salam to all the Moors worldwide. We're here, Canaanland Moors pop-up class meeting. If you have any questions, put them in the chat in all caps. We're just here to carry on with the energy from yesterday. Giving supreme honors to Mother. Honors to the Matriarchy. Those patriarchies trying. Somebody just needs to pull the plug on the patriarchy. Because it's doing nothing for our people. Patriarchy has 12-year-olds shooting a baby and then having to go to court. Patriarchy has your little daughters dressing like whores and you're cool with it. You're down. But your daughters dressing like whores though. So honors to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali for teaching us the truth about our nationality and birthrights, which lets us know how our ancestors looked at things and dealt with things. Way off from what we're dealing with as a people. Why is this? How did they get rid of the great cosmic mother? Yesterday we told you how the Hebrews are sellouts. I showed you in the book. The great cosmic mother. Showed you in the book yesterday that the Hebrews, the Jew guys, are patriarchal traitors. So we're gonna go to the next chapter. Denial of the mother. Denial of the people. All right. Denial of the mother, denial of the people. Remember, and if you have any issues, don't look at Moors. Go debate Monica Drew and Barbara Moore. Go debate them. I don't hear anything from you people. Christianity offered redemption through a single being of the male sex. Christ must redeem us from being born out of a woman. His power to do so comes from the fact that he is the son of a male God, At death, Christ does not return to Mother Earth like earlier vegetation deities to renew and fructify us all. Christ is a vegetation deity who refuses to be recycled. Instead, he ascends to heaven to sit as a judge at his Father's side. In the Gospel of Thomas, the following exchange occurs in presence of Mary Magdalene. Simon Peter said to them, "Let Mary leave us, for women are not worthy of life." Jesus said, "I myself shall lead her in order to make her male, so that she too may become a living spirit, as resembling you males. For every woman who will make herself male will enter the kingdom of heaven." You're not going to go with that? Thinking something different? You ever wonder why these patriarchal guys are going to say, put the women in the back? But when they get dressed up in their regalia and stuff like that, they're wearing dresses? Never dawned on you? That the pastor, tranny, dressed like a woman? They even go in court, put on a wig too, like a woman? And then you see this woman stuff going on with our people. Every man wanting to be a woman. They got purses now and stuff like that. They got boots with heels on it. They don't wear sneakers anymore. They wear shoes now and all this stuff. Because patriarchy is ruling them. And majority of these people who they talk about as, you know, the patriarchs, all those people are our people. Simon Peter ain't no European. He's not European. The man who carried the cross for Jesus Simon, Cyrene, that's not Europe. So Simon, Luke, and Mark, and all these people are brothers. Now is Jesus a European? What is a European doing around these brothers? Right, but what they're talking about, right? Simon Peter was the founder of the Christian church among the Jews. What they're talking about is after when Simon sold out and he became Christian. But when he was with the guy who's supposed to have brought Christianity to these people, he's fezzes up, even to carry the cross. I mean, you know, is it a real story? Is it fake? Because if they're showing you somebody in a fez with a European Jesus right here, and the European Jesus is not real, you're going to say he's not real? Because we still see fezzes around today. So you can't tell me he's not real. Why is there confusion? Because he strayed from the matriarch. That mother's supposed to be honored. Human beings are bound to each other through the mother. As her children, we share a blood bond with all creation. We are all made the same, from her flesh, her desire, her dreams. Under patriarchy, this mystical blood bond is broken. Our flesh bond becomes the source of all evil. Under Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and state communism, the four major Western patriarchal religions, the compulsion to control or destroy the flesh of the other has been historically stronger than the stated desire of brotherhood. This perpetual success of war and failure of peace is then said to be the human condition, but it is only the condition of humans under patriarchy. Under patriarchy, there is a literal belief that all of life is created for men to use, and what patriarchal men see as unusable is also seen as contemptible. We suggest that the atomic or nuclear blast is man's final identification with the sun god, the final annihilation of matter or mother, and that this is the implicit goal of all patriarchal religion. If they cannot control life utterly, they will choose to destroy it. The nuclear technician is the ultimate priest of the Father, handing us his holy mushrooms of rigid and uncreative death, a ceremonial sacrifice of mere objective numbers without grace, hope, rebirth, or magic immortality. Exclusive identification with the Father is a way of denying dependence on the Mother, who is always ultimately Mother Earth. Taking is a denial of dependence and also transforms the guilt of indebtedness into aggression. The masculinity complex, the obsessive denial of femaleness, is inherently nihilistic and aggressive. Because the Christian church relentlessly uses words like pious and humble and meek to describe the character of Christ, such words have masked the actual historical aggressiveness of the church against human bodies and minds. In fact, the Eastern Orthodox Christ Pantocrator was always pictured as quite fierce and demanding. But throughout the Christian empire, concepts of humility and meekness have been systematically used for centuries to condition submissiveness to the masses, while the ruling elites quite arrogantly and aggressively grab the earth's treasures for themselves. That's what you're up against. We're not up against some people who hate us and all this. We're up against going against the matriarchy. The war in heaven is who's lying. Who's telling falsehoods, mixing it with truths? And who's staying to the point? As John G. Jackson writes, the story of the Dark Ages in Europe presents a chronicle of horrors almost without a parallel in human history. And the sadder part of it is the story of the conversion of Europe to Christianity. He quotes Buffon. Could the full history of the conversion of Europe to Christianity be written? it would present a tale of horror more appalling than that of the Christianization of Spain by the Inquisition. The Christian religion has been imposed upon the people of Europe in much the same manner as it was imposed on Mexico and Peru, in the course of whose conversion Las Casas estimates 12 million people perished, butchered, burnt alive, and tortured. Those who survived the butchery of Christian conversion were enslaved. As Jackson writes, the church not only perpetuated slavery, but created it where it had never existed under Roman law. Bishop Ratherius of Verona in the 10th century went so far as to say, God has mercifully destined those to slavery for whom he saw that freedom was not fitting. This is their mindset. And Christianization of Spain by the Inquisition was Christianization of Moors. And then once they got the Moors Christianized, then we can go through the world with this. That's why Drew Ali even told Moors in the Quran to give Christianity back. That's not your stuff. Your ancestors were in a different place. Where you at? What Christianization are you talking about? With such, this part. The medieval and Renaissance church fathers of Europe saw the institutions of private property, of coercive government, of class systems, even of slavery, as not only inevitable on this evil earth, but desirable. They were order imposed, elite enforced remedies for the corruption of human nature. The scholastic minds of the church and its patristic theory made a distinction between the state of nature, based on natural law and expressing God's ideal, a world more responsive to natural order, which patriarchy, of course, destroyed, and the conventional state, which is the real world, the rationalized world, sanctioned by custom. According to God's apologists, this conventional state is not the original intention of God, but has come about through human sin as a result of the fall. Thus, the unnaturalness and exploitative coerciveness of the real world is blamed on human beings, few noting that this state of things was originally established to enforce God's will over human beings. The Christian or biblical God is never blamed for worldly order and disorder. His absolute will is just used to sanction its continuance. Corrupted by original sin, human nature supposedly demanded restraints, which could not be found in an egalitarian order. These restraints are inequalities of wealth, status, and power, and the consequent right of a selected few to rule over the many. Such restraints were interpreted as not only the consequences of sin, but also its remedies. We are exploited, punished, and oppressed for our own good. So we are told by God's professional explainers. No matter how brutal, unjust, or greedy patriarchal institutions might be, they are to be understood as the whips of God on the disobedient bottoms of his moral children. That's where they're at. This is where they're at. The great cosmic mother. So it's really patriarchy. It's not racism, it's not all that stuff. It's patriarchy. That's what we're really fighting against. Because the whole point is try to get the great cosmic mother to be non-existent. So that patriarchy could rule. God in the sky, guys. With such fiendish reasoning did the church fathers build their Christian empire. Throughout the early years of Christianized Europe, the priests and scholars were the only people doing such reasoning. They were the only people allowed an education. The great masses of people, with their pagan Neolithic knowledge destroyed or forbidden, were kept in profound ignorance. The church worked to ensure their minds were filled up with the Christian dogma, guilt, and fears, and devil superstition. When we consider the megalithic lunar and solar observatory builders of England and the Breton coast of France were 3500 to 2500 BC, measuring a slight periodic of 0.15 degree oscillation of the moon, as well as building immense and beautiful earthworks for ritual celebration. The intellectual and cultural squalor of the Europeans under the domination of the Christian church became truly appalling, though not, unfortunately, unique. The same mental and physical impoverish followed the church wherever it went. As George G. Jackson points out, Europe might still be in mental darkness if it were not for the periodic injections fought tooth and nail by the church of Arabic brilliance. Europe, says Jackson, was saved from the abysmal Christian engineered Dark Ages, not through a Greco-Roman Renaissance, but by the entrance of Moors into Spain and the influence of Moorish civilization in the Mediterranean and southern Europe. He quotes Joseph McCabe. None of our modern sophistry redeems the squalor of Europe from the 5th to the 11th century, and it was again the dark-skinned men of the South who restored civilization. By the year 1000, Europe was reintroduced to a condition which, if it were not for Europeans, we should frankly call barbarism. Yet at that time, the Arabs had a splendid civilization in Spain, Sicily, Syria, Egypt, and Persia, and it linked on to those of India and China. We write manuals of the history of Europe or of the Middle Ages, and we confine ourselves to a small, squalid area and ignore the brilliant civilization that ran from Portugal to China. So the point again, that this is really about getting rid of mother, because mother is the nation. So when we say that there's a campaign to get you to not know about your birthrights, because there's all this confusion, other stuff out here, don't look at it as Moors versus whatever. Look at it as patriarchy and matriarchy. Moors are matriarchal. We're descendants of the ancient Moabites. Our foremothers and forefathers were matriarchal culture, which means women ran it. Women ruled. That's just what it is. It's not the Moors and trying to get you to be a Moor, and then the Hebrews are trying to get you to be a Hebrew, and the Christians are trying to get you to... No, You're looking at it all wrong. It's patriarchy versus matriarchy. And Moors are matriarchal. So any Moors you hear telling you about some patriarchal stuff, you already know that they're full of BS. Because Moors aren't not patriarchal. Any Moor that's repping for Allah in the sky, God, and stuff like that, watch those Moors. Because the same literature that Drew Ali brought them tells them that Allah is in man. What are you looking outside of yourself for? What do you mean you're looking outside of yourself? You're looking outside of yourself to find yourself? How? Right? We are absolutely positively sure that Noble Drew Ali was leading us back to returning to matriarchy. Because the patriarch has already violated us. So we shouldn't even have any reason not to get down with the matriarch. But again, don't think, matriarch, that you could be nuts and run something. You can't be nuts and run something. You can't be crazy baby mama or whatever and talking about you're the matriarch of something, running something. It ain't working like that either. You stop the BS too. There ain't no way. Stop playing games. My mother has to be right and exact for this to be working proper. Don't be having bathroom all looking a mess or whatever like that and then talking about people leaving the seat down and stuff. Like, look at your stuff. What do you mean you're worried about seats and stuff like that? Little drip or whatever when you have a place looking crazy? Can't even put the toothbrush, like I have to hang the toothbrush from the ceiling or something. So mother has to be straight. So the sons could be straight. Right? It starts there. And son just has to realize that he's son. Stop playing around. Don't have any say. There's no say. Like we said, everything that we do is for mother. Some kind of way. Your mother's attention. Everything. But she has to recognize her worth first. Because we can't do jack until she recognizes that she's the great cosmic mother. And that they were saying, human beings are bound to each other through the mother. The Asiatic woman is everybody's mother. Everybody's mother is dark skinned. I don't care how they look in 2020. The womb that they came through, regardless of how they got in that womb, whether they got in that womb through some artificial insemination, whatever, the Asiatic woman is the one. Again, if that, the only way, I don't see squirrels and nature worrying about lockdowns and stuff like that, worrying about wearing masks and something's trying to kill them. Because they already told you that dog caught COVID and stuff like that. So how come the pets aren't just dying out like that? Where's the pet mass at? You should have the dog mass. And then now we want to talk about lockdowns. When these people have been locking down for the past 10, 15 years, they've been locking stuff down. We're playing games like we have something together like that. What you should be focusing on is your inner workings. Because if it's really about to be martial law and lockdown and all that stuff, you can't leave your house and army outside and the panic and stuff and, you know, filling up the bag to go run across because people don't have stuff. All that's news. I don't know what anybody's talking about. I see something going on, you know, it's kind of weird that you want me to do certain stuff. It is weird, you know, make you think, you know, what the hell's going on? What is this? You know, but then picking and choosing when they're gonna do stuff. It's all part of the game, because they know fear is what is the killer. So once they can get people in fear, worried about some whatever, if they're going to vaccinate everybody, they're going to vaccinate everybody. It's either, are you going to die against vaccination, or are you going to say, whatever, and just take it? Right? Because they don't know what they're going to do, really. These people are maniacs. You know. But I would say, you know, have some water, have some cans of something. You know what I mean? If you like to freaking drink, have some bottles or whatever like that, because there could be a time where you can't go. And they already tested it out when they first started this COVID stuff. They already tested it out to see what's good. You know what I mean? Because unless you have, you know, your own spot with a bunker and all that stuff, like, you're not really, if they really do what they're gonna say they're gonna do, if they really go nuts, then everybody's done for. But they can't go that nuts, because then they'll have to kill themselves too. So they've created a situation where they've instilled so much fear, but then nothing happens from the fear, and then there's limbo. People don't know what to do. People are so terrified, they didn't even realize, hold on a second, how did a thing go from China all the way over here? And then some people in China are saying, no, it really came from over here. And then there's certain places in the world where they didn't even pay attention to any of this, and they've been going as normal, like nothing ever happened. There's certain places in the world where nothing happened, nothing changed, no lockdown, no announcements, no red day and orange day. No, how come they're not counting those people's numbers? The places where nothing happened, where there was nothing. Right? How come those places have nothing? And everywhere else has this thing. You know, certain things are behold a pale horse and stuff like that. If you don't know about Behold a Pale Horse and William Cooper and stuff like that, then you're probably new, because it's not some new stuff. Vaccinations and all that, this is not new. Like, my parents have the thing on the arm, the mark. So this is not some stuff that they don't do. Right? Because ball's been dropped. The lights are off. You're standing in the stadium talking about pitch the ball. Like, game's over. Game been over. So what are they going to do? They built up their stuff on slavery, on people having to go their job. If people aren't working, then system's crashing. So you can't have a pandemic, but then have a system working at the same time. It ain't going like that. Because pandemic means people need to stay in their house. If they stay in their house, then they're not working. If they're not working, ain't no system going on. Ain't no garbage picking up. You have the stuff packed up around the house. So you can't even go to the dump. So don't get caught up. Don't get caught up in the hoopla. Don't get caught up in the CNN and the NBC and the City TV and the Global and don't get caught up in that. That's the one-eyed monster. That's the idiot box. Only idiots watch that. This idiot box. Like, intelligent people read books. They don't just be on the idiot box. Right? Don't get caught up. Like we said, we got a prophet. Nobody been told us put away your 90 days of food and all that stuff. So Moors who are on game in line with the prophet, they're doing what they have to do because they, Drawley said so. If every other stuff manifested, then just count them down. All of them are happening. You know what I mean? But you can't get nuts with the vaccinated. Like I was telling somebody last night. When vaccination time comes, there's affidavit, vaccination exempt. Oh, sorry, we're not taking that, or we don't, whatever. Then okay, then whatever's going on, then it's gonna go on. There's no vaccination. There's no sticking me with stuff. Like, it's not happening. Right? It could be a placebo they're poking people with. You aren't poking me. When they say taking blood or something like that, you're not poking me. You're not inserting stuff. But I know I got about, 10 things. I got 10 things that are going to go down the list every time they say no. Right? And they'll probably be done at 3 or 4. Because what we fail to realize is that they're on the ropes, on their knees, and ref is counting. We're panicking about something. It's not our time to be panicking. It's our time to be getting organized. All this stuff that we're talking about that we want to do for the people and we gotta do. All right, then they're slumped over right now. Now's the time to organize quick fast. Grab your stuff, reload quick fast, and let's get ready for round 2. right? You know? Because that's where they're at right now. Like, that's what I see. I see that they're on their last leg right now, stumbling around the ring. You don't even have to hit them. You just have to wait for the fall. A lot of people want to be, you know what I mean? They want to do the taunting and go under and, we're going to get you and you're about to go down and all this stuff. And then when man gives them a sucker stuff or whatever, now they're crying racism. No, that racism, they did. They just hate our people and all. No, it has nothing to do with them hating anybody. They're just moving more intelligent than you are. That's all. If you don't move intelligent, then you're going to get what you get. And again, Noble Drew Ali was the most intelligent in the 1920s. And they don't even tell you about him. They're going to tell you about calypso singers and all these people that are conscious and they're going to lead you somewhere. Rapper guy is going to lead you somewhere. When man must become his own priest, because the priesthood is dead. Either you're going to save yourself or you're going down with the ship. There's no someone's out here to save you and, oh, those Moors over there, we're going to run over to those Moors because they're saving the world. No, you're your own world that you have to save. You ain't worry about what some other Moors are doing. You have to check self and see where you resonate in that. No. Like without here, there's Moors out here that they're up to no good. No different than there's niggers that's up to no good or whatever. Then there's some cool niggas, and then there's some cool black guys, and there's some cool whoever. Church guys, some church guys who they'll sit down and build with you on some metaphysics and the Bible or whatever. They might not be going with it, but they'll sit there and build with you. And there's people who are going to tell you you're the devil because you're telling them truth. Telling you that you're the devil. But they would never say anything to this European out here who's the real devil terrorizing people. These colonists. And even on their side, all of them ain't off the rocker. There's some of them doing more work to assist waking people up out here than the people who need it the most, which is the Asiatics. Because our people are needing to be saved. They don't realize they have to save themselves. And the only way you're going to save yourself is like how scripture says, get knowledge. Because people die for a lack of knowledge. So you probably want to get as much knowledge as you can get if you claim in living is what is your thing. All right. Sheila Nagig from Kilspec, England, Church of St. Mary and St. David Corbell. Church of St. Mary. Was the Church of St. Mary? No. If they're repping that on their building. If the church or whatever is repping that on their building, you think they don't know what's up? And then you can look at these stuff and see where they find all those little when they have their little demonic movies or whatever like that. These entities that they create, all of it goes back to mother worship, symbology and figurines and whatever, just to have mother in a disgraceful position. Right? And they go in so crazy that you better want to know what the hell's up right now. You know? Because these people are the demons and the devils and whatever that they are. Then if they want to kill you, they'll kill you. You know, they're not playing around. If they want to exterminate people, they'll just bomb buildings and stuff like that. They already saw what they did September 11th and all that. Right? Don't be surprised buildings have those in them already. Demolition. If they really want to do something, it's like they can't. So why aren't they is the question. No, like why aren't they? If it's like that, you on New World Order, you lock this stuff down yesterday. Then what's gonna happen? That's just gonna be them sitting down in the room now. They lock the world down, and then just them sitting in the room looking at each other. Because now they lock themselves down. Now they got to do everything that they had somebody hired to do. Right, so what's their plan? Who knows what their plan is? Who cares? What's your plan? And your plan is get knowledge. Don't be wasteful. Right? Don't be lacking common sense. Don't be lacking morals. You know, live upright. Do the things necessary to save yourself, because ain't no Jesus and Yahweh and God's coming. Ain't no ancestors coming to save you. Ain't no tarot gonna stop these people from kicking your door in and jabbing you with the stuff. Now, if they really want to get down like that, they can get down like that. But we already know they don't have the manpower to do that. They don't have the manpower to give everybody a ticket if everybody says we're not gonna whatever. But they're relying on the fear factor. That the fear factor would keep the people passive, not that something's gonna happen or whatever. What Steven Seagal said in Hard to Kill. The anticipation of death is scarier than death itself. So the anticipation of lockdown, vaccines, masks, this guy standing up, these people standing up, they're talking about it. The one world order, the new world order. You know how long they've been saying new world order? They didn't just start saying new world order yesterday. They've been saying new world order. Since the 80s, 70s, they've been saying New World Order openly. Right? We're in it now. We're in 1984 book. We're in it. It's not some stuff we're reading, looking around, and we say, oh, everything's cool or whatever. No, we're in it right now. We're in King Alfred plan right now. King Alfred plan is happening right now. And we're in it. Right? You know, off the grid when everywhere is the grid. If you guys say, yeah, I'm off the grid, but latitude, longitude, you're not off the grid. You're on the grid. Right? The thing is, no fear, no guilt. And those are metaphysical lessons. Not even for physical shit. That's metaphysical, that no fear and no guilt. The chopping down of the cherry tree. Cherries are red and green. The cherry tree is green. The red-green symbology always goes back to the Moroccan flag. When the Moroccan flag was flying in this for George Washington, who was a general, to become president, they had to not talk about the presidents before him. So the chopping down the cherry tree was all this symbology about taking over the vast estate of the Moors. Them being Freemasons and dressing up like Moors is the chopping down of the cherry tree. Them wearing an apron is the chopping down of the cherry tree. Them having, 13 arrows with 13 olive branch and 13 steps in the pyramid and 13 whatever was all the chopping down of the Father's cherry tree. Because the cherry tree, people say George Washington's father's cherry tree, and then they think about his dad, his personal dad. No, his father. The people who set them up, the father. Morocco is who set them up. Right? Because it had to be transferred to them. It had to be transferred to them. So, Will, you got your answer. Got the countdown going. Peace and love to all the Moors worldwide. Study, study, study. rvbaypublications.com. And honors to all mothers, and honors to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Peace and love to